Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. I'll give like another few seconds to let people join. Today, we're going to continue part three from this beautiful piece that I made, that we made together actually. So, let's see a little bit more people to join. We're here live on Instagram and YouTube. Thank you, everyone. So, that's how I finish it. And that's how we end up doing the second episode. And I kind of brought it to a phase where now it's time to play with the colors and starts to put some magic and blend colors and give this beautiful mirror the character it deserves. So that's the palette I showed you before, what's involved with pink, with lime, and kind of a, I don't know, dark green, I say. So now we're going to start playing here with some coloration, and let's make this thing work. It's a different setup than what it used to be. This will be a little bit more pleasant. So let's jump in and let's start the actual work. So the way we stopped is where I'm going to move that slightly. So here is the colors in the white background, which we're going to use more because once we're going to start dragging the paint, this is a chalk paint. Once we're going to start drag it, the white going to give me the background of the transparent when the colors, when I'm going to start to make the paint a little bit more clear and a little bit more transparent. So the white background is very important. And we're going to start playing with this side now. And I'm going to show you the techniques to apply to deliver like on this side. Sorry, I keep bouncing it. So we're going to start to drag the colors this way. And basically what you want to focus on is, even if you have some colors bleeding on the white paint, it's okay, because what we're going to do, we're going to start wet the color, it's going to start to activate, and then we're going to start to stretch it towards the lime, and we're going to take the lime and we're going to start stretch it towards the green, and they're going to blend in a nice way. And then we're going to add some gold leaf on top and to give it some aging. So let's start with the blending here. Some plastic, whatever you got to create the colors. I'm going to start with the paint, the lime and the green. Now, I use several brushes. These are chalk paint brushes. You can paint them with other brushes as well. You can paint other colors, other paint, but you want to have that type of colors. You want to have more smaller brushes to be more precision, especially when you need that precision for details. And when you paint the details, or when you want to be precise. So on the leaves here, on this side, we're going to put the gold leaves. So before you apply the gold leaves, you're going to apply the glue. And you don't want the glue to be on the green details, because then the gold leaf going to stick to it. So you need that precision with the small brushes. We need the water so the brushes don't dry. Chalk paint tend to dry very quick, so you want to keep it moist. This is my favorite tool, the mist, and we're going to start to spray the mist, and then we're going to start to drag the paint. That will give you more precision and not overdoing it with water. And that's pretty much the main effect of this whole process. And then we're going to coat it with wax, and the wax is going to give it that glossy, agey look, and kind of enhance all the colors in one, enhance the colors and give that depth that we created once we creating this aging on the details. Now maybe I'm talking in terms that you're not really familiar, but once we start diving in, we're gonna you understand the concept here. Not super complicated. So I'm gonna stir the paint a little bit. And let's start to dive in. Now, if your room is not hot enough, the chalk paint will dry a little bit more slower. So that's why I have a heater here to expedite the process. And we're gonna start taking some paint out to our palette here, so we don't have to open the can every time. Now you see it's a very thick paint, okay? Now by working with water, that will give you the flexibility that we need, especially when we're gonna blend colors together. But don't need too much water, because this is a little bit more liquidy. Let's start putting the green. Thank you very much, whoever joined right now. We are about to start. I haven't really missed anything yet. All right. So I'm going to move those two aside. So now we have the paint here. So what's going to happen is I want the green going to go over the lime. So we're going to start with the lime, pushing it towards the green, and then we're going to overlap with the green. So that will give us the illusion when the color merge together. So we'll start with the lime, and I'm going to use this round brush. So tiny dip into it, doesn't really need the whole thing, just a tiny dip. And I'm going to put the mirror in this way. And we're going to start to go along the frame that painted with lime, and we're going to start to create that marks the way you see here. So it's a good idea. So we're going to start creating this bleeding from here, right? I hope you see it good. Let's add more. Oops. Now this is a very fun process, I gotta say. And the results are amazing. So I really recommend you to try it out. That's the whole purpose of this video. So you saw how nicely and gently I start to touch, and now we're gonna start to stretch the paint towards the green. I'm gonna shift it up a little bit so you can see. So I'm gonna start stretching out the paint this way. It's already starting to create that illusion of bleeding. Very good. Now we're going to let it dry a little bit, and then we're going to wet the space with our mist bottle, and then we're going to give it even more stretch, because at the end of the day you want to lose the brush marks. So when you wet that a little bit and you start to stretch it, you're going to lose that. Actually, let's use this box to get you this perfect angle this way. Amazing. So now we're going to start stretching it. Now the thinner you do it, the faster it's going to dry. So don't try to don't try to expedite the process too much. Let it dry naturally. But for this video, I'm going to use the heater just to expedite this whole process. So this video not going to last forever. I already got it to this stage. A little bit of water to clean the brush. And we're going to let it dry a little bit. Meantime, I'm going to start doing the aging around the frame. So basically, like I did the aging here along the details. So that's where you give this shadowing effect, where you look at something and it's create you that depth and it's enhance the details. So we're gonna start focusing right now until this gonna dry. We're gonna start working on the details. Good. So I'm gonna use the same wet brush that I did with this. And let's start with the illusion of shading. Let's show it this way so you can see. So now it's a little bit with water, which that's what I want. And I'm gonna start to add it here. Here I already made. See, I'm lifting it. So it's bleeding in the direction, but it's okay. So I add those shading where the details are, and I'm gonna let it sit and dry too. Let's stretch it a little bit more. Now you want to do it wherever the details go deep, because that's where there is shadowing that the details create, because there's a different elevation. So you want to take advantage of it and create the illusion of shadowing. And once you do that, that gives that's add the character to the piece. And we're gonna turn this up. Same thing here. We're gonna turn this up. Good. So now we're gonna give it a few minutes to dry. Let's touch and see here. It's already dry. It's drying very quick, as I mentioned before. So now I'm gonna start to wet this with our mist bottles. So you don't want to aim it directly, but then it's going to overload with water. So you want to have your distance from it and just a gentle spray on it. Exactly. If you see that you overdo it, you can just take a rag and just pick up a little bit the water, making sure it's not too much. You rather have less than more. And now we're going to start stretching it again. I have too much paint on here, so I want to take some of the paint off, because the purpose here is not to add paint, is to make the paint more transparent. So basically you gotta sense the brushes. And I don't know, sometime when we paint a room or furniture, we go crazy a little bit, and because we want to finish and we want to cover certain amount of square footage. But when you start to working on a delicate, you want to have this delicate finish. You want to have this sense of brush. You don't want to over push it. You wanna kind of connect to the strokes, making sure you get the results that you're aiming for. So as you see, I'm starting to get the motion of the paint exactly where I want it to. Now, when I'm starting to go with the green on top, then we're gonna have this beautiful mix that's gonna make sense the way it's in this side. So let's start with here too. Now, the more passes you do, the more gentle result you will get. So if you're aiming for a rough finish or a rough background, do less. If you want to have it in a real smooth mix, do more, as many as you can, because that will give you a nice illusion, almost like a Venetian paint, if you came across this term before. Now, if you're bleeding a little bit on the rest of the stuff, that's totally fine. This paint is very forgiving and easy to clean, easy to work with. You just need to add water and you get really nice results. So that's where we are now on this side here. So you basically, if you satisfy from the results, as you can see, it's already matching here. So I'm satisfied with the way it is now. I'm gonna use same one now. Let's go over the shadowing I did here. So again, I'm gonna spray a little bit of water. Very good. And now we're gonna start stretching the paint here. Now, I'm not happy with the way it is now. I will need too much paint on this brush. So I need to clean it more. So take all the paint that you have in your brush, even take the bottle mist and spray the brush. And start cleaning the brush. So basically that will be your finish tool that can give you the results you want. So don't be kind of a monotonic on the way you work. If you get this pattern, as soon as you go to the details, it's a different pattern. So you gotta sharpen your tools and prepare it to a different application to get a different results. You can use several brushes. I have it here too, but this brush is as you can see, is a square. This one is round. Now the round will give you more strokes, more coverage, and be able to drag more paint. But if you don't want to wait, you can test to see on your hands, there's still paint coming out. So we're gonna dry it again, maybe a little bit more mist. Let's take the paint off because we want this not to be a solid paint. We want it to be very clear, very transparent. Okay, I think now it should be fine. So now I'm going to take off paint and I want to see that green exactly. That's exactly what I want. Now there's some paint load here. Take it with the brush. Start to scratch it. Now, if you're still not satisfied, let it dry. Then you're going to mist it again and then you're going to continue drag it again. So I'm going to wipe all the excess paint that's left here. Good. And now we're going to start with the stroke again. Now it's got too dry. Adding water. Start again. Now you see we're getting completely different green than the line we got here and the green we have here. Now it's a completely different green, and that's the effect I want to have. Now it's too much paint here. I'm going to take off. And you basically play with the tones to make sure it's not too dominant. It's somewhere in between this green and this green. And that will give you another color in this whole design. Now, as I mentioned before, be bold about the color variation you choose. Go with purple, go with blue, go with pink. And you can, try to find two colors that are match and add to them gold, add to them, I don't know, rose, add to them black, add to them a white, cream. So try to play with somewhere in about to create a character, to create a real depth to a piece. And I'm gonna leave aside the the minimalistic theory. I'm gonna go with something more deep and more classy. So you want to be somewhere between 5 to 8 colors at the same piece or at the same design. And once you be comfortable to play with 3 colors, normally people are playing with 3 colors. Now, the idea of 3 colors is to create a balance of 60, 30, 10. So 60% will be the dominant color, 30% will be the color that goes together with this whatever color you choose, and 10% will be another black or gold or another a small amount of paint that will add another dimension. So 3 colors, it starts when 3 colors become a little bit easier for you. Go to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 colors together, and it doesn't have to be just colors. Gold is an element, and if you add wood, if you add metal, brass, anything that have its own texture, stone. So whatever design you choose, whether to your space, your house, or a piece of furniture, just be bold about it. That's totally fine. And I promise you that the results are phenomenal. Maybe on your first try it won't be as much. I need to add a little bit more water to this rag and clean the out the frame. So I want to keep the the exterior frame green. I don't want it to have this age. We can always go green later and fix the paint. Now, sometimes you're gonna make mistakes with the combinations, with the colors, with the texture. So it's okay to make that mistake, because when you make the mistake, try to think how I can use this mistake and turn it into something that's gonna look great. And there's so many options. So before you get upset that it doesn't come out the way you plan or the way you envision, you can think for a second and see how it will make sense and take this mistake to your advantage, because sometimes those mistakes actually create a better results that you never aim from. And you shouldn't, a lot of the design came from mistakes, and a lot of good ideas came from something that people thought in a completely different direction, and all of a sudden that mistakes made sense to them. So don't be upset. So I already have this kind of illusion here that is aging on the frame. Now I have a paint that is not really spread nicely, so I'm gonna spray it directly, and I'm gonna look the spot where the paint got accumulated too much, and then I'm gonna stretch it again. And when you stretch it, it melts again. You're gonna take a rag and you wipe the excess that you don't want. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, we're moving along. Actually, this side took me much longer, because I had to kind of explore to see what works with what. And as soon as I build that confidence that that's the result I want, this side is much faster and easier. Very nice. Good. So now we're going to work on the green. So I'm going to take this green here gently, and the way I'm going to do it, let me lift it up. So the way I'm going to do it, I'm going to start bleeding here. We're going to bleed wherever the white is. So we're going to accumulate most of the paint around here, and then we're going to dry the brush and again starts to stretch the paint. I'm going to do it here. Okay. So now we're going to start drag it. Let's wipe this off. This one is so addicted to use. I go in the house just spraying in the air just for the fun of it. Okay. See, there's a lot of paint still on it, which I don't want. And if I dip it in the cup of water, it's going to be too much on the hair. So we'll get rid of it this way. I think we're good. So now let's start drag this. Now you don't want to drag it too much to here because then your brush is going to pick up a different color. So you want to stay until you finish all the perimeter that you're aiming to paint. I'm going to do it this side before my color, for my brush going to start turn to a different color. Okay. Good. And now I'm going to start dragging it. So I don't know if you can see it now, but the colors here starting to turn to this fade color that goes along. And that's exactly the illusion we're trying to get here. So I forgot to do in this part. We'll do it now. Now this got dry already. It starts to drag it. Now we got this nice illusion here. I'm gonna go all the way. I see some paint build up here. Good. A little bit more green. Again, on this side, then on this side. Good. We're gonna let it take the color again. Sharpen our tool. Then it starts. Stretch it. Very nice. Came out. I'm going to stop for a second. Try to give you a closer look at the mirror. And that's the shading that we will create. So we create a depth here, and then we create this. We smash the, I don't know what's the word for it. Kind of we drag the paint to a position where it mix and blend and create this old look. And that's the, I don't know if to call it a Venetian painting. So now I want to take care of these flowers and turn them into this beautiful pink leaves here that you see. And the way to do it is by using this beautiful gold leaf. I have, I think, about 100 colors of them. And they are very delicate. Actually, I'm going to come closer. So They are very delicate and they tear very quickly. Yeah, and that's why they come with two pieces of paper. So you can open it and then you apply it on top and then you start to work with the brush. Now that's require a glue, and that glue is you need to apply it and it probably will dry in about 20 minutes, and then you start to melt the gold leaf on it. So you want in when you work with something a little bit inexpensive, that's fine. But when you start working with a real gold, a 24 karat gold, you don't want to waste it. So you have to make sure it's being applied very, you take advantage every little piece of it, okay? Because they do sell it in a 10 karat, 14 karat, 24 karat. So these are not real gold. So this is more forgiven. Okay, so now we're gonna apply the glue. The glue comes in a small box. You don't need to apply a lot of it. It starts as a white, and you want to make sure it turns into clear. So we're gonna apply this now, so later I can continue, and by the time it will dry, we'll be able to apply the gold leaf. Now we are using brushes, small brushes, to get better precision. Now you'll notice here that you have a varieties of tips for the brushes. You want to cover certain surfaces, or you need more precision, or you need to look the finish to be more wash or a little bit more paint. And each color of those brushes is for different purposes. So for instance, the red one, it will be for water based. The blue one will be for acrylic, and the green one, so I'll show you this way. The green one is for oil. So since we're using a chalk paint, we're going to use a water base. Okay, so the water base are the red one, and that's how they look. And from there, I can get a better precision, and the glue that I applied the gold leaf will not bleed on the rest of the areas where I don't want the gold leaf to be. So I'm going to use a very fine brush to start going over the leaves. Okay, now this takes time because there's a lot of details into it, and I don't know if I can do all of them right now, but I'll show you at least one or two, so this way you can see how I do it. Okay, you can be generous with the glue here. The more you do, the better the gold leaf will melt. But like anything else, you can overdo it. So it's like any other glue you ever put before in your life. So it's nothing special. Simple application. Okay. So this is one we're gonna let it dry. And I'm gonna do the tip here, the top part. I don't need this one to cover that bigger of a surface, so I'm going to use a bigger brush. I left it there. Oh, I have one. So we're going to use the big area here. And this is actually the fun part. I love to do it. It adds so much to the piece, whether if it's a armchair, table, mirrors. We actually, what we are starting now is I took in brownstone doors, door frame, door trim from a pocket doors and from just regular doors, entry doors. Beautiful details, very well made. Most of them are made from oak or from poplar or from mahogany. And I'm gonna I put them back together and I'm turning them into beautiful wall mirrors. That's gonna be very impressive. Part of the painting technique I'm gonna apply there, but it's gonna be a mix of wood, which I think is gonna come out even more prettier. Okay, this is making sure, getting all the angles here. Now we're gonna let it dry. Still have some more. I'm gonna do it here. Okay, I'm gonna do the big surface. Moving to the small. Oh, you don't see it here, but I have all my tools here. I want to make sure you have available water next to you to dip your brushes before they dry, because the glue dry very fast, the chalk paint dry very fast. Not at the end of the world if it's dry. You wet it again and it starts to melt like chalk does, but much quicker application. Okay, so by the time that's gonna dry, now I'm gonna inspect the area that we just covered, make sure there's not imperfection, there's no bleeding, especially now when I'm angling diagonal. The mirror now is in a diagonal position, so the paint starts to go down. But I see some spots here that it's not 100%. So I'm gonna use again on the brush. Let's take some of the paint off. Actually, it's very refreshing. Starting to get hot here. This humid days with this rain is driving me nuts. Okay, taking it off, and I'm gonna let the water drop. Now again, I'm gonna start to drag those spots. Now, this is not how it's gonna be finished. I'm gonna add to it a gold wax. Okay, I'm gonna come closer so you can see it. I'm gonna open it first. So this is the wax to, if you want to give this look of gold, you don't want that gold like a gold leaf. You just want it to be a little bit more gentle, a little bit more blend and not too dominant. Okay, so that product is very, very nice to work with. It looks like this on the inside. I'm on YouTube and Instagram, so I'm jumping between cameras so you can see it. And this gold is absolutely phenomenal. So what we can do with that is to take a different brush. We scrape up gently, not too much, not overloading the brush. And then we give strokes of gold in certain areas where we want to cover certain imperfection, or just in general, we want to add gold. But this is also a very good material to work with. So you literally scrape it off like a paste. That's what it is actually. It's a gold paste. And you want to do some corners and some areas here, maybe on the top of the details here, and maybe here. And we're gonna start to stretch it now. I'm gonna use to a different brush. Maybe I'm gonna add some here, gently here. Just go wherever you see that depth or wherever you're going between the details. Just give it some nice strokes on top, maybe on the inside, and here, up here. See how nicely it comes. So now we're gonna move to a different brush, and we're gonna start spread the gold That's going to give us a very nice finish. I'm going to take the phone real quick soon so you can see how nicely it gets, and it sits so blend almost in any color, you know. Now this comes also in black, so you can get a black wax, and the black wax gonna give you this shadowing, and it's, you know, that's give you the best illusion for shadowing, because this shadow is black, and that's exactly play the role that the effect you want to have. And I'm going to stretch this one also. Beautiful. Dip it into water. Sometimes I forget. Good. So now I think the leaves are ready to apply. So I'm going to take this paper, and I'm going to take just regular brush. Actually, I'll take something smaller. Here. So the way I'm going to do it, it's coming gold both sides, so it doesn't really matter. And you're going to open one side. Your hands are sticky, use your brush. So I open it on one side, and now I'm gonna drop it on the details, right? And now when I drop it on the details, I'm gonna make sure gently that it sticks before I'm gonna let it melt. I'm gonna fold it in places that it doesn't cover. And now it's the fun part, where you literally brush it off on the details, and it's melt perfectly into it. So now it's just a brush precision to go inside the details. In this case, it's a flower or a leaf, and I want to make sure it covers all angles. Now, if you want to have like a hint of gold, or you don't want that the gold leaf will be too dominant, you have two options. One, you can take the paintbrush that you already paint, let's say the white color, and you go gently, and that gives it another coloration. You can enhance it and emphasize it, or you can reduce the amount of it. So you have a nice room to play with it if you don't want. And now, that wasn't that smart because I have some glitters right now on this paint, but it's fine. Excuse me. So now it's on. We're gonna go to the tip now. Same idea. Open it up. Flip it towards the inside. And here we will need one more. And we're going to start pushing it towards the details. Let it stick. I'm going to do the same thing here. Another one. That's what I meant before. And it's so therapeutical. There you go. I'm going to start to wipe the axis of it. One that felt here. Another piece. There you go. I need to use another one. As I said, these are more forgiving. But when it's a real gold, when you do jewelry, is a small surface. When you do wall details, or when you do uh, larger surfaces, you want to make sure you take advantage the whole paper. Good. And now you just brush it as if it was paint. Now, if you want it to be again a solid gold leaf, so you keep going, or if you want just to cover a little bit, then you can take small pieces wherever you miss, and you apply it. You can push it out a little bit every time, and then apply it again. Nice. This one came out nice. Very good. So now you can see I have this pink and pink here. Oh, I actually did this sleeve too. So let's do it. I hope it's not too far for you. I'm gonna take the mirror closer so you can see. Now, if you want to use some of the crumbles of the gold leaf and use it as glitters on your piece, it's also a nice idea. And I'm sure it depends on which item you do, because sometimes you don't want things to be too much or too childly. Sometimes it looks like it looks too cheap, or if you overdo it, the glitters. Okay, so I'm not gonna do it right now, but I'm gonna do it one by one. I still have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 leaves to do. So that's how it's gonna look, and I want to add, I think, a little bit more gold, but let me show you a little bit closer look of how this mirror is. So tell me you're not impressed. We still didn't wax the bottom piece, and we still didn't complete the rest of them, but you can get a very nice look of how much character this mirror carry, and basically how much the impact when you look at it. It doesn't really affect. It doesn't really act as a real mirror that you, I don't know, put your makeup on and I don't know, before you get dressed, that's the mirror you're gonna look. But that's definitely a showstopper piece that if you put it in your living room, in your hallway, in your bathroom, actually, in your powder room, that will give a very, very nice effect. And I'm very happy with the way it came out. The only thing that left now is to wax. The thing is, I'm going to wax it without the leaf, so because I don't want to put the glue wherever. Oh, I'm sorry, did it the other way. Okay. So when you put the wax, you pretty much seal the deal. And everything you're going to add on top of it, not really going to stick well, because the sealer acts as a sealer. It's to protect the paint you have. So I'm going to show you how to work with the wax, but I'm not going to wax the leaves. So this is the wax, and this is the wax brush. This is a clear wax It's a semi-gloss, and this is the brush wax. And it's very easy. Now, as soon as you open it, you'll get a petroleum, like a gasoline smell. There's, oh, you're gonna think you're in a gas station when you open it. So you dip gently inside just to get this wax on the tip of the brush at this point, and then you slightly gonna start to apply the wax. So I see I have some coloration here where I didn't notice. I'm gonna wipe it out. So you see I made a mistake here, but since it's a chalk paint, it's not the end of the world. We're gonna use our mist bottle. Actually, I'm gonna use much cleaner rag. And I'm gonna fix the colors. Now, if you can fix it 100% or to your satisfaction, you can just go over it with a new color, and that will hide the imperfections. So before we apply the wax, we want to make sure it's clean, there is no dust, and there is no excess paint, and everything is dry out. And let's apply it. So the way I'm going to do it, I'm going to, I don't know, I guess this motion are more familiar to women than men when they put their makeup on. Then you're going to start to wash it again. Then on the sides. And that's what's going to give you that glossy look. And especially when you work on a detailed furniture or a detailed piece, you want to enhance the details. So this comes in a different finishes. I think comes to satin, to semi-gloss, to a very glossy. So it's up to you how far or how glossy you want to do. The more you do, the more reflection you get. Don't forget, in this case, it's a mirror, so you don't want to have that too much reflection. If I'll put this piece in a with a room that had too much lighting, that will create effect that you don't want to have on a mirror. So just gently, and especially with details here, we're gonna make sure the wax doesn't build up inside the details. And we're just gonna clear it again. That's what gives that glossy look. Good. I'm gonna keep up. This I already finished, so I can put the wax on those leaves. Do we have time to do the rest of them? Yeah, why not? So I'm gonna add I'm gonna add this one here. We already take this brush here. And I'm gonna go a little bit quicker than I normally do. In this phase, I take more I take the time, practice this precision. just to get that, pick up that skill to a professional level. This one is okay, but some of them are very, very complex, very, the grooves are all over the place. I don't know if I'm sure you came across with very integrated details. And sometimes you wonder how a person and not a machine can make it by hand, let alone to finish it and bring it to a very high end finish. You'll see it in, I don't know, palaces, museums, all those gorgeous pieces. So that's how they do it. Practice precision. Good. Yes. Almost there. It took faster than I thought. This one also fun to do with your kids, I gotta say. They love the effect when it's spread and melt. Should try it out. It's available in my Amazon store, and you can practice it, and they just absolutely love it. And then when they, I don't know, in later age, when they come and see it, they know exactly what it is and how they made it. And then, it took me a very long time to understand things of how people do stuff. And that's a cool way to spend with your kids. So now let's start with the rest of the gold leaf. This is one. Come on. This is two. This is three. I normally work a little bit more cleaner. I don't know why I'm speeding things up a little bit here, but it's okay. You will forgive me. Okay, we're almost there. Two more. Now, the problem is when you make something and then later you want to sell it after all this hard work, you don't want to give it away. You don't want to sell it. You want it for yourself. Okay, now the fun part. We're gonna squish it in, then clean. Squish it in, clean. Okay, we're gonna need some touch up there. You can always add glue later if it's not to your satisfaction or doesn't cover the area exactly. Take this one here. Now, if you didn't cover certain areas with glue, it's not going to stick. So don't try to force it. Finish to glue the rest of them, and then go back with glue again and apply it. Actually, I do like the glitters, the leaves going and acting as a glitter, and shiny a little bit from the green color that we put. Not bad. And I think we're done. We are done. One more thing. Take a blade, a work blade, a knife. Got the name of it. Take just the blade, and then you much easier to clean the mirror. I learned this trick when I had the insulation company spray foam. Sometimes things will go out on the windows, and that's the best way to clean a mirror. This mirror is so beautiful. It got this old haze inside, the mercury that gives this old effect. So even if the paint bleed on top of the mirror, you don't really need to tape it. Take a nice sharp blade, just go over the mirror. That'll give you beautiful cleaning. Okay. Last cleaning, last brush. Now there are certain areas here that it got glue. I don't know why. I'll clean it later. Drums. So I think this piece speaks for itself, and I'll be, happy to hang it anywhere in my house. And any, the green I think will blend nicely almost in any design. I know it's a little bit bold, this combination, but you can bid it. You can find it anywhere else. That's a character. That's how you add a character to a piece. That's how you enhance the details. That's how you respect it. That's how it should look. Now, the color combination is endless. Be bold, be adventure, and make mistakes. Pick up some skills, refine your skills, and you'll get better and better, and the results are phenomenal. So I really hope you enjoy. I hope it wasn't too long. I'm gonna go hang this somewhere, and I'm just gonna actually show it to you this way. Good. So I'll have it for the thumbnails. So thank you very much for joining me. I'll be happy to take questions. DM me for any question you might have. I have this big passion for old stuff and detail work, but that's not only what I do and what I know. I do houses and restoration for wood, and any questions, feel free to reach out, and I'll be happy to share my knowledge with you. And if you make something like this, share it with me, send it to me. I really want to see. I want to go sleep at night knowing that I inspire someone to make something like this, especially if it's your first time, or even never had any artistic, or you thought you don't have any artistic skills, I'll be happy. And the satisfaction is enormous to know that you you made something because you saw this video and it's inspire you to do the same. So thank you very much for joining, and I'll see you in our next live. Come on, YouTube.